9 books, 1 month, and a lot of opinions. May was packed with plot twists and a few surprises. Some I loved, some not so much. Let's break down everything I read and see which books are worth adding to your TBR list. Guys, I will forever say this, and I say it every time. How are we at the end of another month? The month of May is actually not really over yet. It is the 28th of May. So if you've come here because you watched my mid-year tag, or if you're going to my mid-year tag after this, yes, I'm filming these videos on the same day, making it a little bit easier for myself in terms of scheduling. But with that being said, like I said, can't believe it is the end of another month, and so that means we have got some books that we need to recap and go over. So with that being said, oh my gosh, this was, I'm pretty sure, my biggest reading month so far this year. It was insane. It was a lot of fun and a lot of good reads, so let's get into it. Let's start off. I always look at my Goodreads to kind of like recap, because the fact that I read so many books in what feels like a little time frame, it can be hard to remember everything. So no particular order, but we're just going to go off Goodreads. So this first book that I read this year was a buddy read pick that Jessica picked out for us this year. This book was called The Light from Uncommon Stars. And I couldn't get into this book. It started off really interesting, and when she gave me a choice, because she did give me a choice. She said either this book or Great Big Beautiful Life by Emily Henry. I was like, well, I'm already intending to read Great Big Beautiful Life, so we don't have to read it together. And I already have a feeling that I will enjoy that book. I probably should have done that. That would have been the safer one. But I also told myself this year, I'm going to broaden my horizons. I'm going to try new authors and try different genres. And so I decided to pick this one because I thought it was something different, and she already had the library book, so I was like, let's just give it a try. I couldn't. I gave it a 2 stars. This book centers around quite a few different people. We have our like female main character, and her name is Katrina, and she is transgender. Now, that is kind of like a focal point for that character and her journey. So I thought that was really interesting how that kind of went into the story. But where it threw me off, because I think if you're going to make a story like this, you gotta find a place and stay with it. But then we bring in the fact that our main character is a musician. She plays the violin. She is running away from home because her home life is really bad. Her parents are not accepting of her, which is really unfortunate. You see that and hear that a lot. So I definitely felt for this character, and that's how the story starts off. And it kind of starts really brutal. You don't really know what's going on. You don't know much about our main character yet. You just know that her home life is not good and she is running away. I don't even think you know that she is transgender at that point either. But then we get introduced to some of our other characters, and this is where it starts to get really weird for me. We've got like aliens. We've got donuts. We've got demons. It just felt like it was really all over the place. Like we really wanted to take a ton of different like ideas and morph them into one story. And for me, I just couldn't connect. I couldn't follow it. It was just too much. So with that being said, that book was a 2-star, and we had to just quickly read it and put it away, because I did contemplate DNFing this book, and I didn't want to do that because that would be, I think, the second or third book that she has picked that I have DNF'd, and I really did not want to do that. I think that was the second book I would have DNF'd, but I could be wrong. All right, so the next book that I read this month would have been Heir of Fire by Sarah J. Maas, or Moss. I'm not sure how you pronounce it. I've heard many different pronunciations, but I always say Mass. So if that's wrong, I apologize. But yeah, this is third book, but I guess technically fourth book in the series, if you count the Assassin's Blade. Yeah, because Assassin's Blade, Thorn of Glass, Crown of Midnight, Air Fight. Yeah, fourth book. So I read that one and I loved it. I gave that one a 4 stars. This one, we follow, of course, our female protagonist, Celaena Sardothien, who, of course, we now know who her real name is, but I'm not going to say any of that because if you haven't read the series, I want you to find out. So we follow her and a few of our other characters from the rest of the series in her journey throughout Thorn of Glass, it was really good. I enjoyed it. We got introduced to a new character in that one. His name is Rowan, and I think I already know where things are going to go with Rowan, but we will find out, I suppose, in this book that I'm currently reading in the series Queen of Shadows. There's definitely something happening, but I'm not too sure, but I've got a gut feeling though that we're gonna be heading in a certain direction. So we'll see when that time comes. But yeah, that was the next book that I read. Like I said, 4 stars. I just don't want to say too much about the series or too much about the book, because if you haven't read the series, I want this to be spoiler free. But I guess for this, what I will do is I will read the little blurb of the book description, which basically just says, Celaena has survived deadly contests and shattering heartbreaks, but at an unspeakable cost. Now she must travel to a new land to confront her darkest truth. A truth about her heritage that could change her life and future forever. Meanwhile, brutal and monstrous forces are gathering on the horizon, intent on enslaving her world. Will Celaena find the strength to not only fight her inner demons, but to take on the evil that is about to be unleashed? That is a really great way of summing up what that book was about. So, if you were wondering, that was Heir of Fire. And I did a little reread. I don't know why, I just got into a big, Harry Potter mood. So I decided to pick up where I left off and read Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban. That's a 5-star read for me. I think almost every book in that series is a 5-star. Prisoner of Azkaban is definitely one of my top 5. So that was a 5-star read for me. And we just follow the gang again back at Hogwarts. And we have a mystery person that has broken out of Azkaban, which is a prison. And we kind of follow along that journey, and it's just such a fun ride. I think the first 3 books is just really fun because it's still lighthearted enough where you are really getting immersed into the world, into the magic, learning a lot along with the kids. And just, I think that's probably the last book where they really get to be kids. And then we get into Goblet of Fire, and that's when things start to really take off. So I don't know. I love those books, and I just wanted to reread them. The next book that I read this month was Definitely Better Now. This one was by Ava Robinson. I didn't know too much about this book, but I kept seeing it, and the cover was really interesting to me. I'm sorry, but I'm a sucker for a cover. If you want me to read your book, the cover has to catch my eye first. I know they always say don't judge a book by the cover, and that is definitely true. But first impressions matter, and the first impression is the cover. If I don't want to look at it, I'm probably not going to read it, and that's just facts. So this cover was really pretty. It got my attention, and I decided to pick it up. And I really enjoyed this one. I gave this one also a 4 stars. This one centers around our female main character, and she is going through some things. She's quite young. Honestly, I can't remember how old she is in this book, but she's really young. She's in her mid-20s, 25, 26 or something like that. Her name is Emma, and she is a recovering alcoholic. So we meet her on her 1-year anniversary of her sobriety. She's celebrating 1 year, which is an incredible thing to celebrate. So we kind of see that, and then how she's balancing that and life and work and family. It's just a lot of things happening. Life is lifing in this book, but it is a really good read. So if you're just looking for something that's a little bit more like contemporary fiction, this is a good one. It does have a subplot of romance, which was really sweet and cute as well. And it was also a debut novel by this author. So kudos to her for writing a really good book. And then I finally got to Great Big Beautiful Life by Emily Henry, and I loved this book. I know that there are a lot of opinions about this book out there already, and for most of what I've seen and heard, a lot of people do not love this book. It's definitely not their favorite Emily Henry book, and as I would also agree, this is not my favorite Emily Henry book, but I did love this book. I thought that she did an incredible job of just diving into something that's a little bit different, but still giving us that Emily Henry banter that we love and enjoy. And so I absolutely devoured this book. I gave this one a 4 stars. This one basically follows 2 writers that are competing to write like this biography of this really famous woman, and it's just such an interesting read. I think the way that it's told, I think caught my attention the most. It did remind me quite a lot of The 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, just kind of the way that the story is being told and unfolded in a sense. We've got our 2 main characters, Alice and Hayden. And Hayden is like a Pulitzer prize winning author. Like, he writes incredible books and has won awards for it. And so Margaret, our 3rd main character, because we've got 3 main characters in this book. Margaret is our older woman that has lived this wild life and has been in the spotlight. Her whole family has been in the spotlight since forever. And so Margaret basically says, hey, I want one of you guys to write my book. And so you're going to come down here to this little beach town, meet me, ask me questions, and I'm going to decide at the end who writes my book. Obviously, there is a twist to that book, but it was a lot of fun. We also get a little bit of romance, and I think, like I said, it does remind me a lot of The 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. Margaret was not married 7 times, but it is told from our main character's perspective, Alice. We also get the story told from Margaret. So we get Margaret's story coming from Margaret's perspective, which I think was really nice. And so there was something about that just felt like 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. Plus the twist at the end of 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo kind of is reminiscent to me of what happens in this book. Not the same by any means. So read the book if you want to know what I'm talking about, but I just got similar vibes to it. So I really, really enjoyed this book, if you couldn't tell by how hard I'm smiling. All right. Next book that I read, this one was my first thriller of the year. I can't believe I have not read a thriller book so far this year, but this was a great one to start off with. And now I'm itching for another thriller. Does that happen to anyone else? Do you read a thriller book? If you're a thriller reader, do you read a thriller book and then you're like, oh my God, I need more? Maybe you like to dabble in thrillers, but you don't read them as often. And so when you read one, now you just want to go into a rabbit hole, because that is definitely me. There's some kind of high I get from reading a thriller. It's like the guessing of what's going to happen, trying to unpack the little bits of scares that you make. I don't know. I just love thriller. So this one was That's Not My Name by Megan Lally, and I loved this book. I cannot say that enough. I gave this one a 4 stars. It was such a fast-paced read. I read this in, honestly, a day. I think I started it pretty late on a Saturday or a Sunday, and then I finished it within the morning of the next day. So to me, that was a whole day's worth of reading, and it was so good. So good. It basically follows this young lady We don't know who she is at first because, unfortunately, she doesn't remember anything about herself. She doesn't remember her name, where she's from, who she is, nothing. She knows nothing. And we basically follow her. And this guy comes in. He's like, that's my daughter. That's my daughter. He has proof and everything. And in the meantime, we get a perspective from our other main character, Drew, who his girlfriend has gone missing. And we're trying to figure out who this girl is and where's Drew's girlfriend as well. And somehow the bridge obviously starts to collide and we start unpacking the mystery of it all. And it was such a fast-paced, good read. Kept me guessing until the end. And when I realized what happened, I was shocked. I was actually literally shocked, jaw on the ground, and actually really sad as well. Really sad. This one unexpectedly was a tearjerker. Very good book. The next book that I read was The Conditions of Will. This one took me so long. I don't think I've ever taken this long to read a book in my life. That's not true. But in a long time. And I don't really know why, because when I would pick the book up, I really, really loved it. Like, I was immersed and into it, and I would read chunks of the book at a time. But then I would put it down and just never pick it up. I think when I first started reading it, I picked it up, read, 50 pages the first time, put it down, didn't pick it up for another couple of weeks, picked it up again, read maybe another 50 something pages. Same thing, didn't pick it up again until I finally was like, oh my God, you just need to finish this book. So I picked it up and finished it, and I loved it. This one was another 4-star read for me. This is a Jessa Hastings book. So if you know Magnolia Parks, then you already know who Jessa Hastings is, but I really love her writing. And I thought that there was something really special about this book because of our main character, Georgia, and her skills that she has in this book and what she does for a living was really interesting. I've never heard about it before, never seen it in a book or a movie, so I really enjoyed that added aspect, and it really kept it very interesting. And we also have like a subplot of romance in here. It deals with a lot. It deals with grief, addictions, assault. Like, there's so much that's unpacked and uncovered in this book. But it's also really just about family as well. And what that looks like. And how like different things have impacted this family. And the secrets that are uncovered as well. I loved it. If you are curious and wondering whether or not you should read this book, I am going to say that you should check it out. It is definitely worth reading for sure. And as you can see, I gave it a 4 stars, so it's pretty high rating. It's a pretty high rating. And honestly, when I really think about it, pretty much every book on this list so far has a really high rating. So if you're looking for any recommendations, I would definitely say any of these books are worth reading. And I've got 2 more books to talk about. So this next book, this one might be my favorite book this month. No, it would be a toss-up between this and Great Big Beautiful Life, I think. But it's one of the most recent ones that I've read, and I loved it. And I don't know why it took me so long to pick this book back up, because I remember loving this author's writing. But it is Kennedy Ryan's This Could Be Us, which is the second book in the Skyland series. So the first one is Before I Let Go, and then there's a new one that just came out, which I can't remember the name of that one, but I'm eager to pick that one up next. So maybe we'll read that next month. I don't know. It's like they take so long to come. They don't take that long. I'm being really dramatic, but I don't know when a next book from hers is going to come out. So I'm like trying to savor them. But back to the story itself. So I gave This Could Be Us 4 stars. I loved this book. Screamed at characters. I disdained a lot of the things that this particular character did, and with a burning passion, very much strongly hate this person. But with all that being said, this one centers around Soledad. And if you don't know anything about this series, you don't have to read every book in the series to know what's really going on. They're all their own individual stories, but you get to see returning characters from previous books. So if you're trying to understand that, it's always good to reread or to read the books in order. But other than that, you don't have to. But this one follows around Soledad, and she is a Puerto Rican woman, I believe. But she is married to this man who is, I'm not even going to say his name. He's not even worth honestly mentioning in this review of it. But he is trash. He's honestly trash. And some things happen, and her life gets flipped upside down thanks to her no good husband. And so now Soledad is trying to get herself back onto her feet. In comes our man, Judah Cross. Claps for Judah. Judah Cross has to be my favorite male character or crush so far. He is incredible. He is so sweet. He's so kind. He has 2 twin boys from a previous marriage, and they have autism. And I think Kennedy Ryan does a great job of depicting that. But he is so kind, so sweet, and so smart, and just wants the best for the people that are in his life. And we just kind of follow the journey of Soledad getting herself back on her feet, being a strong, independent woman, taking care of herself and her kids, and honestly finding love again. And it was such a fun read. So if you haven't read this book, I don't know what you're waiting for. You should probably go do that. The last book that I have on my list, I just finished this one this morning. And that is Shield of Sparrows. This one was an interesting read. I read that book for a particular video, so I'm not going to go into too much detail about the book here. So you can check out that video when it comes if you want to know more. But this one it's a romantasy, and it follows our main character, Odessa. And there are like monsters and kings and princesses and just a lot of different elements that are in this book. I ultimately gave this one a 3 stars. I think that it had to be a 3-star for me, or 3.5, I should say, because it was kind of predictable in a lot of parts, and the parts that you don't really want it to be predictable at, you want it to kind of unravel naturally and be like, oh, shock factor, wow moment. But I honestly was able to predict a lot of the things that happened in this book. So I ultimately gave this one a 3 stars on Goodreads, but on Fable, I gave it a 3.5 stars. Editing this video now, and I wanted to quickly pop in and let you know about the 3 other books. Is it 3? I think it's 3 other books that I read. 3. I don't even know. But let you know about the 3 other books that I read. These books, I'm not going to go into a lot of detail because they were actually for a video that I just finished filming. So we're not going to go into too much heavy detail about it in this video. But I do want to at least let you know what they were and what their star ratings were and whether or not I'd recommend them. So the next book would be Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire. I already told you I was very much in a reread of Harry Potter, and I'm probably going to continue on with that. I think I'll probably pick up the next book here in a little while, but I reread Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire, and if you don't know, that is my favorite book in the entire series. I absolutely love that one. This is the 4th book in the series, and I think that's the first time that you really see the darkness that comes from the world that they're in and Voldemort. And I just thought it was such a fun read when I first read it, and now every time I reread it, it just makes me feel so happy. That was one of the books that I read for a video. And then I read, this one is Carly Fortune's newest release, One Golden Summer, and I didn't really have any expectations on this book, but I was hoping that I was going to like really, really love this book. And I think that's because of the cover. Her covers are magnificent. They're absolutely gorgeous. And I was really, really hoping that this was going to be one of those books that I fell in love with. But unfortunately, it wasn't my favorite. It wasn't bad. So with that being said, I do think if you are interested in reading this, I would still recommend it. You pick it up. It's very good for the summer. It's fast, easy read. So that one I ended up giving a 3 stars. But overall, I'm glad I read it. I'm glad I read it to know what the hype was about, to know what it was all about. There were definitely some characters and moments in there that I really, really loved and enjoyed. It was very predictable, and I think I'm kind of getting a little bit tired of that. And one thing I will say with Carley Fortune's writing, she is not a profound writer. Like, I don't think her words are anything groundbreaking, but they're really easy to read and grasp. I think I just want a little bit more to a story and for it to not feel so predictable. But sometimes you want that, and sometimes that's like kind of like the whole point of a romance to me, is you want that predictability. You know, when you meet the characters, like, yep, they're probably gonna get together. You know that there's some kind of conflict that's gonna pull them apart, and then they get back together, right? And so with that being said, you kind of know you're kind of getting, what you're kind of signing up for. But I really like when there's a lot more depth to the story and the characters, and this one just feels really 2D for me. I think all of her books, for the most part that I've read, feel really 2D and flat. Like, we're not fully bringing everything to life. That's that one. So, and then the final book that I read this month, I can't believe it. I actually read 12 books this month, guys. It was the biggest reading month I've had in a long time. But the last book I read was actually a short story, and this was my first Elin Hilderbrand book ever, and I really loved it, and I think I'm going to be reading some more of her books. I'm eager to see what her other work looks like, but this book was Natural Selection, and I really enjoyed it. I gave this one, I think, a 4 stars, and I thought that with such a little time frame that you have with a short story, because I think this one was maybe 100 pages, maybe. Such a little time frame to tell a story, build up anticipation for wanting to uncover what's going on and learn about the characters. I think she just does a really great job with it in this book. But this follows our main character, Sophia, and she is a young woman who is going on like this little, I guess, like cruise like vacation with her boyfriend. Her boyfriend is an older man, and he was married once before and has a couple of kids. And when he and Sophia are on their vacation, he gets basically a phone call saying that he needs to come home. And so he basically looks at her and he's like, listen, I gotta go. And she's like, what's going on? And he's like, you can't come. See ya. And then that's it. We don't see or hear from him ever again. Ever again. And so she is completely blindsided, doesn't really know what to do. She ends up going on this little vacation and makes the best of it. She meets a lot of really interesting and some really nice characters along the way. But I think this story was really about growth and learning about yourself and being okay with feeling uncomfortable and not knowing what happens next. So I ended up really enjoying this book, and like I said, I gave that one a 4 stars. And so those were all the books that I read this month. Anyways, those are all the books that I have read in the month of May. This was a lovely reading month for me. If you are looking for some books to read, I hope you found some suggestions here. Let me know what you are reading in the comments down below, because I'm always looking for suggestions, and I will catch you guys in the next video. Bye.